Welcome to Talk Dirt to Me, where two farmers shatter myths and take on the top issues facing America's farmers. Here's your hosts, Logan and Bobby Lee.
What's up, everybody?
Yep. Rained out.
Yeah, rained out, man. Story of my life this season. Seems to be every time.
I mean, this is kind of every spring, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it seems a little more challenging this one. I was further along this time last year.
Okay, I was going to ask that, like, as far as percentage of your planting,
I'm probably 35% planted.
I know, like, the nation as a whole, planting's going pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, I had just actually looked earlier today, and it's like, I think slightly ahead of last year.
Yeah. Is that all just corn and soybeans that are just
the primary, yeah.
Cotton.
But in our area, I'm gonna say people are probably not quite that far because it's been wet here.
Well, and I was just noticing, I've been running all around today. A lot of the crop that's up looks pretty good.
Oh yeah. The beans this is not bad. Like I have 200 and something acres of beans that are up pretty darn good now, and this is good. They're getting a lot of crop now. Corn, it's actually can be bad
because it's a little cool and it's just staying so wet.
When it's real wet, you almost want corn, from what I've always heard, you almost want to plant corn and have it come up. You almost want it to need water.
Yeah, to make
drive that taproot.
Yeah.
And
I'm not an agronomist, but that makes sense to me.
It does, and I've seen, like, because when we've had really wet years, the roots kind of are almost on top of the ground. Like, corn always has the, like, stuff on top of the ground, but it don't have a real deep root.
Yeah, it never needs to.
Yeah. And then they say, like, when you get into August or July and it's not raining, the corn that's got a deep taproot is going to do all right.
Yeah.
But so I'm kind of glad because I have not planted any corn yet. I lack 30 acres of beans. I'm gonna be about 60% corn, 40% beans this year, and I lack about 30 acres of beans, and then I'm gonna be swapping over to corn.
Oh dang, you're that close on beans?
Yep.
So you'd have been done today.
I would have finished beans today. Yep. I got one field that's kind of going back and forth on. It was super, super wet, so I don't know. I may end up putting beans on it, but I'd have finished today.
Yeah.
I planted yesterday. It was really heavy. But I'll tell you, like, that planter I've talked about my spiked closing wheels. It's having no trouble closing it. You just don't want a ton of rain when it's already wet, because then a lot of times the beans and stuff, they almost just rot in the ground
before they emerge.
Yeah. So, that's what's going on with me. And first, before we tell you too much more, we need you to hit that like button, hit subscribe, leave us a comment, leave us a rating, 5-star rating and review. I did tell people we would have the giveaway figured out. I'm telling you, we'll have it next week. We had the guest episode, and we're still working. We're trying to help on this Ag Zaga giveaway, which you still have time to enter. This episode will drop. It'll be the 9th. And so you got till the 12th. So you need to go on our Instagram, Talk Dirt Podcast Instagram page. We've got a post up there. Like it, comment, and now if you share it to your story, you even gain another entry.
Yeah, be sure you're following both the Talk Dirt Podcast page and Ag Zaga's Instagram page. Yeah, like it, tag a friend, and then if you go ahead and then share it to your Instagram story, you get a bonus entry.
Yeah. Yeah, you need to do that. And there's been quite a few people that have done that now. So get on there and do that to win you some bail net wrap. And once that wraps, we'll have our giveaway going. Like I said, we've already got a really awesome part of the giveaway in place, but I'm still trying to lock down a couple things. But I'm excited for this giveaway. It'll be our biggest giveaway we've done. Yep. So what else do they need to do?
Well, and if you're just feeling like you don't have the luck to win the giveaway, or maybe you don't have Instagram and you have no idea what we're talking about when it comes to sharing to your story and all that sort of thing, just go to agzaga.com.
Yep.
Use the discount code TALKDIRT, all caps, all one word, bail net wrap. I was just talking to a friend of ours a minute ago, but I've got some hay, some of my kind of just mixed grass. Some people might say weeds. Good cow hay really could be cut now.
Yeah.
But it's, well, same way with you and planting. It's finding a stretch of 3 or 4 days where I've got it, a window to get it dried is going to be a challenge. So heck, I might be cutting hay here the next week. It might be 3 or 4 weeks. Who knows? But yeah, use that discount code, get stocked up on your bell net wrap, all the other good stuff. Talk Dirt, all caps, all one word.
Yep. You want to bail this out here?
What? Where exactly are you talking about?
When you come in up there by the store, it's Hairy Vetch and Crimson Clover.
The vetch is pretty decent forage. That stuff, man, it wraps up on everything. It's hard to mow it. Like,
oh, I'm sure.
Because some fields I've got where there's just a little here and there, like it'll hang on the mower and it'll fall up. It's the same thing when you're trying to
Well, it's a bunch up here.
I would say yes, because this is pretty convenient to me and close. But it's going to take me so long to get to it because of all the others. Yeah, unless I went to that first.
Well, that's what I looked at it, because, like I said last year, I bush hogged it, and I was like, dang, I should have baled this. And that's what I was mowing around the fruit trees, and I was like, man, I need to bale this up here. And I kind of was looking into it. I did see where Hairy Vetch is really tricky to get to dry down. Like when you cut it, like you might have to tether it 2 times.
And the clover can be too, which of course, the clover, all the values in the leaf, which I imagine the vetch would be the same way. And yeah, if you handle it too much like that, kind of like alfalfa, you'll lose all the leaf. And
yeah.
I don't know. Clover, I don't mind it in my hay field, especially my cow hay. But yeah, sometimes, like I'll be raking and all the grass will be good and dry, and then that clover, you'll turn it over and it'll
be green.
Yeah, green and just wet as it can be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I got an out here, man. It's thick right here.
Well, I guess having a mower conditioner would be better too, something to kind of crush it. But
yeah,
I just got the old disc mower.
Well, before we get into our stuff, man, I got some cool thing. I've had some excitement the last 2 days, but something, we've talked about Pablo Escobar. So, people that have been listening for a while, they know we'll go down some stuff. Have you ever heard of Mac v. Sog?
No.
So I had not either. And, I got SOG knives, and I've never really looked into what SOG. I knew it was like special operations something, I thought. But that's not what it means. I've been listening to a book called SOG, and it's on America's commandos during Vietnam. And kind of one of the things that got me going down this rabbit hole actually was, Jack Carr's new book is coming out. It's been bumped now to October. And it's going to come out, and it's about Thomas Reese, who was a SEAL in Vietnam.
Who is James's father.
Yes. And
fictional, but yeah.
Yeah. And he was SOG. And I had kind of started looking at this, one day, I don't know, I was just bored, and I was researching stuff, and I saw this SOG thing, and their logo, I'm sure you've seen it. It's a skull with a beret on its head, and it's got cross knives or something, and it says Mac v. SOG. Well, I saw Jack had shared a thing for Cry Havoc, and it had the little skull with the cross knives. And so I actually messaged him, and I said, is Tom of Mac v. SOG? And he did the thumbs up on there. So he is, but dude, they're wild. It's no longer a thing. They started it. Oh, I've been nerding out on it. They started it in 1964, and it was a group of Green Berets, basically, and one of the guys was from World War II. He was a leader in World War II. I can't remember. He had a nickname the Hammer or the Bull or something. He was a bad dude in World War II. He was part of forming SOG. And SOG is Studies and Observation Group, is what it means. And basically, they were black ops. All they did was classified. They would do a ton of POW rescue missions. They called them bright light missions. And it said they were normally outnumbered 10-1 almost every time.
It's like Rambo.
They're legit Rambo. And the casualty was their casualty rates were astronomical. It said it said, if I've read this right, this one thing said that the wound rate of SOG was 100%. Every single person in SOG had been wounded. But there was this dude, man, his name, I actually shared a post about him on Instagram. His name is Dick Meadows, and he was a major. And are you looking to see if he was SOG?
No.
Well, and he could have been, but
that would be First Blood Part 2. Is that where he goes to Vietnam? And
yes, it is.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a prisoner of war in the first one. Like hadn't he already been a POW?
Well, the first one is when it's all like in Washington or wherever.
Yeah, it takes place, but wasn't he having PTSD from being a POW?
I don't remember if he was a POW or if he was just from his general combat.
Maybe. Yeah, the second one's when you actually have him in Nam.
And they try to abandon him. Like it was a total sham. Like,
yeah.
And
well,
and they kill his woman. And
he needed SOG because
I think he almost was SOG.
Basically,
he single-handedly frees all the POWs. Yeah.
He does.
I'm have to watch Rambo tonight.
Well, dude, Dick Meadow is a bad man. He was a major, and he was a Green Beret, and then he became SOG. He joined the military when he was 15. Said he lied about his age, and he was
there was a lot of that.
Yes, he was a master sergeant by the time he was 20. And like I said, now he's in SOG, and dude, he would. It said that it was estimated on the low end he killed 100 men. On the high end, he killed at least 200. And there is a famous story about him because the dude's talking about in this book I'm listening to. He is been sent. Him and his platoon have been sent out to try to rescue a downed pilot. They know where this guy is. He's been down. And it said all the platoons, they basically wanted to be with Meadows because it said, they had a quote about him. It said, when Meadows was there, death was in the air. Like you could just knew that he was a savage. And he's out there and they see 4 NVAs, which was North Vietnamese Army. Or I think it's North Vietnamese Army, but they're NVAs, bad guys. And they come out and they're walking around, and it said Meadows, this is a 100% true story, said he just steps out of the brush and says, good morning. And he's got an AK-47 because they would carry inconspicuous weapons. And he says, good morning. And then he just shoots all 4 of them dead, just smokes them. And there's several instances where he would be outnumbered and he would just smoke all the dudes. None of them could get him. And he was an absolute killing machine. And then SOG was disbanded in 1974 or something. And then Delta Force and stuff kind of came out of that. And he was one of the leaders of Delta Force. He was still doing stuff when the Iranian hostage situation came on. He was an undercover guy, and he went behind enemy lines and infiltrated their plans. And so, dude, if you get a moment, you need to look up, just Google Richard Meadows, Major Richard Meadows. He was an absolute savage. Yeah. But the SOG stuff is just wild, man.
And the name of the book you're listening to is
just SOG.
Okay.
It's by John Plaster. It's awesome. So, yeah, there's you a non-ag thing to check out. What do you think? Have you had a sip yet?
You told me I had to wait till we were on air.
All right, Bobby Lee is popping his Liquid Death cherry right now.
It's good.
It's good, ain't it? It's refreshing.
As you took the word right out of my mouth. Refreshing is exactly what you would say. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not sponsored by them. Yeah.
Which, like we said earlier, we're recording kind of mid-afternoon, so our official bourbon sponsor, Mr. Tim, I just left his house. He sent me with some bourbon. He was trying to I was like, no, dude, I can't start this early today. So we're rather than a bourbon, and I stopped at the store because I was like, I'm gonna buy me Liquid Death. I can't find them anywhere.
Yeah, they're tricky. There's certain stores that have them, and some of them that have them have a bunch of them.
Yeah,
but
no, that is refreshing. That's
which one are you drinking?
Squeezed to Death.
Squeezed to Death. That's the orange.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how, man. They're just very refreshing.
Yeah.
So, and it's just water, you know? So there you go, guys. Check out Liquid Death. Again, not sponsored by them. So there's been a lot that's going on. You got a really interesting thing we got to dive into. Yeah. But I need to tell you what happened to me.
Yeah. What did you get the sprayer out last week? I know you mentioned it when we were on air that your sprayer was stuck.
I did.
I don't remember if you mentioned it, but
I don't remember either.
You were getting texts and pictures from your farm hand that had sprayer stuff. Y'all got it out, no problem.
We did, yeah. We went out there and I just unhooked my tractor. We have a barge cable. When the river, when the Corps was working on the side of the river, they just left a whole tow cable out there. And, they just basically just abandon them. I mean, hell, they probably got a ton of them, but it's literally like big, thick cable. And then it's got eyes on each end of it. And we use it to pull stuff out. It weighs probably 200 pounds. And so we just took it out there and we put clevises on each end and just pulled her right out.
Yanked it right on out.
So, but no, I have dealt with law enforcement 2 times now in the last 2 days. One time.
Okay, well, I know one of the stories.
Yeah, one of them was on my behalf. The other one was against my behalf.
Oh, damn. You're on both sides of the law.
So, the first one, for people that don't know, and I've had a bunch of questions about this. So, I was out in the field. I was checking to see if it was wet or dry enough to plant. This was about 2 days ago. And I'm driving down. There's always a wet area. And this farm is a funny combination. On one side of it is legitimately the ghetto. Then another side is a nice neighborhood, and then like a nice area. So like you got 2 different places around one farm. And the end that I'm down here on is the ghetto. And so I go down there, and man, it's awful. There's like I can't even describe it as a rut. It's like a huge thing. Something has been like drug. At first I'm looking at it, I'm like, man, I look like a bulldozer blade or something. Like, you could angle the blade because it was kind of
like just did a circle out in your field.
Yeah. I was like, what in the world? And then I get to looking, there was a metal rod laying out there and like a big bolt, and like I picked them up and chunked them out of the field. Like, what the crap? And it was like dug spots out in it too all around, and I just cannot figure out what's going on. And then my entrance there, I had a thing of barbed wire run. One of the posts was like completely bent over. All the trees and brush had been like ripped out. And I mean, I'm like, good God.
Like somebody had a wreck almost.
Or something. I can't even. At first I like literally I'm like flabbergasted is what has happened. And so I'm like, okay. I just look at the thing, the track, the gouged out spot, and I even see cinder blocks. There's cinder blocks laying in my field too. So I kind of just follow the gouged out spot, and I see a piece of junk like raggedy mobile home, and it's over.
Just like a single wide trailer.
Yes, and it's not on my property. Like, it's off of that farm, but they literally came in.
They just came across your
across my field, and so. I was pretty mad.
Which is this farm you rent?
Yes.
I wonder if, I would assume the answer is no, but did they contact the landowner to see if it was okay for them to come across?
No, it's the farm I used to own.
Yeah, well, I kind of thought
and no, there is no chance that they contacted them.
They're just like, we're just going to send it.
Yep.
Like, this looks like the easiest route to get this trailer where we wanted to go.
It got even better because I was mad.
Well, was the trailer like set up to be lived in where it was?
Well, somebody's living in it, but it has no water and no electricity, and it is.
It's just where it came to a stop. They were like, all right, that's where we're.
Yeah, it's like not even level. Like, it's kind of crooked, but it's all. Oh, they tore the hell out of it getting it there. Like,
they had to have, yeah.
Yeah, like it.
Half of it's still in your field.
Yeah, they were pretty sure. So I'm jumping ahead. I'm mad because I'm mad they did that, but then they left all their crap out there. Like, they didn't even.
You legitimately are going to have to spend, an hour or two cleaning
it up. So I called the cops. I was like, all right. And look, for people that don't know, this is an actually legitimately dangerous area. Like, I am heavily armed whenever I'm over there. And that's from like advisement of our Tipton County Sheriff's deputies. They're like, you need to be packing some serious heat over there. And this is the same place where at one time they staged basically to pretend to be deer hunters so they could catch a murderer.
Yeah.
Which I found out that ties into this story too. So.
Oh, wow.
I called the cops, and Tipton County, they send out not 1, but 2 deputies. Like I said, man, we can kind of get on to some of our cops. The county boys are legit. Man, they've always done us right. Like, I've always had a good time with the county. And so they sent 2 deputies out. And they look, and actually when I called dispatch, I was kind of describing it, and she said, oh, we're the trailer. Like, before I even said the trailer. And I was like, yeah, the trailer. I'm like, how did you know about the trailer? And so then the deputies get there, and one of them I know him. We actually went to school together. And we get to talking, and he said, yeah, the trailer, they actually had it in the road for like a couple of days.
Oh.
He said it was like sitting in the road. And so we kind of started piecing it together. They were trying to get it over there. They come through my field. We're pretty sure that it actually ripped the axles out from underneath it because they had then cut a bunch of branches. They had piled them into the culvert so that because it was so long that it wouldn't make the turn. So it like ran off the road, off into the culvert, and I think it ripped the axle out when they did that. So then they just get something, they just dragged the thing over there, and they got it over there. They left all their crap in the ditch and everything, and like that's what the deputies, they went over to the house, and like Covington Public Works literally has to come out there and clean everything up. And they like clean the ditch out, and but I told one of the officers, I said, I said, man, I was mad as hell. I said, I was about to go over there myself. And he said, well, I'm glad you didn't. And I said, why? And he said, man, those people, they don't even like us. He said, they're not cordial with the police. So I can only imagine what kind of confrontation y'all would have had. And I said, yeah, it's true. And so I got to talking to, because one of them said, well, the previous, so where that trailer's sitting, there used to be a house.
Well, that's what I was going to wonder. I was like, who owns the property where the trailer's now parked?
I don't know who owns it, but I know that it used to be like a trap house. Like it looked like a drug house, and I don't know if they had hardly any power in it, but there was a trap house there. Well, it's gone, and I didn't know what happened to it, but I do know what happened to it now. One of the officers said, well, the old guy, the dude that used to live there, he was a bad dude. And he said, but you won't have to worry about him no more. And so I talked to a buddy that's on county, and I got the full story. So the guy that used to live there, he's not going to, I don't have to worry about him listening to this. His name was Rico. And he was I had seen him. He was one of the reasons why I carried severely when I was out there, because he was like 6'5", probably weighed 270 or 280 pounds. Like, I wouldn't want to tango with this guy. And he was a murderer. Like, he actually had killed some people. And he was the one that they were staging to catch.
Oh, that's who they were. Okay.
And so they caught him. Well, he got released shortly thereafter. And he went back to his old ways. I don't know if he killed anyone else, but he started running drugs. So the cops pursued him again. Hell, he barricades himself in the house. The cops pursue him to this place. Now, this, from my understanding, this happened in about within the last 6 months or something.
Wow. I'm surprised we didn't hear about it.
I know. But he barricades himself in the house, and the cops are trying to get him, and the house catches on fire. Well, the fire department, I guess, comes, they put the fire out. Well, he ain't done. He comes out, and apparently he pulls a pistol on the cops, and he's like about to smoke them. And so you can put the rest of the pieces together there.
We know how that ends.
Yeah. So I don't have to worry about Rico. But I don't know who this new guy is, but I don't think he's as bad as Rico.
Well, he just knew Rico wasn't.
He didn't have to worry about Rico stopping him.
Well, I wonder if Rico owned the properties or
I don't know.
Well, I guess you could look it up.
They may not.
And see, well.
They probably aren't even asking. They're probably just like, they're like, well, Rico's dead. We'll just put it over here.
Yeah.
So that was part one. And
so what are they going to do? Just, I guess
nothing.
At this point, what can they? Yeah,
nothing. And that's why, he asked me. He said, do you want to press charges? And I said, no. I said, what are they going to do?
Could they at least come up here and get the center blocks and shit out of my field?
They didn't even do that. I had to end up doing it because
I'd be like, hey, bro, could you?
That's what I told them. I said I'd like for them to come clean their crap up. And so I was planting, and I'll be damned, I drove down there and was planting, and there were the cinder blocks were. So I had to stop and go get all the shit out of the field.
Quicker just to do it yourself.
Yep. Yeah. So that was part one. So then part two, it's not as dramatic, but that same night, I planted till 11, and I had a seed tender and my water trailer up there. Well, I don't like to leave very much stuff up there because there's guys like Rico in the area. So I had to pull the seed tender home, and you can only go about 35 miles an hour with it. So I pull it home, and I got to go back and get the water trailer. So by the time I'm going back, it's a little after midnight. And I'm driving down there, and I'm in my service truck, and I'm tired, man. Like, literally, it's midnight. I don't even know how many hours I've put in at this point, probably 16-hour day or something. And I'm tired. My headlights ain't that great. I got a bulb out on one of my headlights on my service truck. So I'm going, and I'm almost to the turn in on the field. I'm on the highway, and there's a long turning lane. There's no traffic on the highway at all. And I guess I was kind of like getting over too early, but I like kind of just go get over. Well, I see blue lights come up behind me, and I was like, damn. So I pull over in the parking lot, and this was a city cop, and I roll my window down. I'm sitting there, and he comes up and he's like, man, you were all over the yellow line. And I was like, really? And he said, yeah, you didn't know? And I said, well, no, I mean, I'm just, I'm about to turn up here. So I really said, no, I don't guess that's paying that much attention. I said, honestly, I'm tired. And he goes, what are you doing? And I said, well, my water trailer's right up here. I'm literally just getting it to go home. And he said, you been drinking? And I said, no, I hadn't been drinking. And he said, are you sure? You sure you hadn't been drinking? And I said, yeah, I'm pretty sure I hadn't been drinking. I said, I'll take a breathalyzer if you got a breathalyzer on you. I said, no, actually, I've been working all day and I'm tired. I said, I'm trying to go home. And so he was like, well, give me your license. So I gave him my license, and he went back there to his car, or he was in a truck, and he was back here for a little bit. And he comes back up, hands it to me, and said, here's a warning. Keep it in the lines. I said, okay. I wanted to be like, now I'm going to be bobbing worse because you just held me here for about 20 minutes.
Yeah. So he just thought you were crossing over in the turn lane before you should have been.
I guess so, yeah. Which, I mean, I was literally turning. I was going to be turning at that point. And I was tired as hell. Like I told Marcy, I was like, hell, I probably was bobbing a little bit. I mean, I literally had worked about 16 hours.
Yeah.
And, man, there's so many cops. It was Cinco de Mayo. So, I mean, the cops were... I guess they saw the service truck and they're like, that's got to be a drunk Mexican.
They were profiling you.
They were. I should have rolled the window down and been like, "Sí, señor," when he like came walking up. Yes. So there you go. Now what? Now there's a big story.
You just said, yeah, I've been drinking. I've been pounding these liquid deaths.
Yes. You got a big story.
Well, yeah, it's one. Obviously we had the guest episode last week. This kind of was a big news story last week in the world of ag, and I feel like we're just a little late getting to it because, but yeah, obviously we had the guest episode, so
yep.
we weren't discussing other issues, but something we've talked about before, the Maude case, Charles and Heather Maude in South Dakota. For those that don't remember,
I was going to say, give us a refresher.
So they are young ranching family. They're probably closer to your age, like
gotcha.
Maybe early mid-30s. South Dakota Forest Service, U.S. Forest Service, basically charged them, indicted them both separately with threats of like 10 years each in prison, like a $250,000 fine over a fence that was in the wrong spot. Accused them of stealing federal property. Well, of course, there's all kinds of ridiculousness to the case. One is that fence has been there since like the 1940s.
Yeah.
And
so they didn't put the fence up.
Right, they were born, if I was guessing, probably in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Long after that fence was there. It was just an absolute just absurdity of a case. Complete overreach by the Forest Service and everyone involved. But finally, and there was a lot of people that were, we're starting to get a little frustrated that the new administration.
Well, hold on now. But now back up. What was they were going to fine them? I mean, what were they wanting them to do? Was there anything they wanted them to do?
So the way it all started, apparently they had a no hunting sign, and maybe that was wrong. Like that's where they were in the wrong because the Forest Service land is public land.
Yeah. And
so they were like, okay, fine, we'll take it down, whatever. Well, then the Forest Service guy was like, well, I think your fence is in the wrong spot. And they're like, okay, let's get a survey. The fence has been there,
since the 40s. Yeah.
Like my granddad or great granddad put that fence up. Let's just get a survey. Well, then it went from 0 to 1,000, and like they showed up, in tactical gear, served them in papers, indictment.
Yeah.
Actually, when Secretary Rollins was having a press conference where they finally said they tossed out every charge against them, whatnot, that they actually were telling them, you need to start thinking about who's going to raise your kids while you're in prison.
Who was telling the?
I don't know if it was the government lawyers or who, but like no, like y'all are going to the slammer. Like,
wow. How far over was the fence?
I don't know. I think it totaled 25 acres is the number you keep hearing.
That's enough to throw them away for life?
Well, for 10 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, their kids are like, I don't know, like 7, 5 years old, something like that.
That'd make me the Ruby Ridge guy.
Oh, it should have, but because they couldn't talk about it. They were not allowed to talk about it. Technically, because they were indicted separately, they weren't even allowed to talk about the case with each other. But
I'm sure they honored that.
Yeah, but had to get separate representation, everything, which the lawyer that was at the press conference was actually representing them pro bono.
But how could they file against both of them individually?
They
were just throwing everything out.
Yes, they were literally trying the fullest extent, and that's what people said. This should have been at the most like a minor civil dispute. Like, okay, you're gonna have to move this fence and pay a small fine for whatever.
Yeah.
Or I mean, really, what I would have thought would have made sense. Like, okay, it's off by just a little bit. Y'all are gonna, if you don't want to move the fence, obviously you've been treating this as it's your property.
Just buy it.
Yeah, you need to go ahead and buy it from the whatever. Just something simple like that. Should have never gotten to this point.
No.
But I mean, you could talk about it for days. But it when they speak and Heather.
Is that the wife?
Yeah, she gets up there. She's like, I've been elected the spokesperson for the family by the other three, talking about her husband and 2 kids. And she's very well spoken, and man, it's because she gets a little emotional. And watching it, hell, man, I was tearing up. I was like, man, this is. But Christy Noem spoke. Secretary Rollins spoke. Their attorney. It's pretty long. There's on the USDA's YouTube, it's like a 45-minute press conference, and I had seen the highlights, but I finally watched most of it. But several things struck me. One was that they pretty much laid out like, no, this was the Biden era administration, just a blatant attack on private property rights.
Yeah.
I mean, and so anybody who's a private property owner, especially a farmer or rancher, should feel threatened by, things like that, which of course here in the eastern part of the country, we don't have a lot of Forest Service land and that sort of thing. But, and I know we even talked about it last week with Patrick. Everything's so polarizing. The sides hate each other. We ought to be able to get along. But I couldn't help it, man. To quote Doc Holliday, my hypocrisy knows no bounds. As I was sitting there, I just got angrier and angrier because we all have those friends or family members that are kind of rural folks, maybe even farm or ranch, but they still vote with the left.
Yeah.
And I was like, I dare anyone from a rural background to watch that press conference and hear how that went down and justify to me how you can vote for that other side.
That administration, yeah.
I was to the point where I was like, I got quit watching. Like I was getting myself worked up, and I'm good about that sometimes. But I was just, and I know you shouldn't be a single issue voter necessarily, but I was like, this right here, like it made me fighting mad.
Yeah.
Like, like we shouldn't be that way. We shouldn't,
No, I'm.
But I mean, just, and the sad thing is, this isn't the only case. It got a lot of publicity. And now I think one of the things they laid out is that they created a website where you can go in and report, government
oversight, basically.
Overreach, and But thankfully, all that came to an end, which I'm like,
how? What caused it to come to an end?
Rollins and all, and I think everybody was pretty confident they would get it taken care of.
So if
a few people were starting to get a little bit antsy, they're like, "Come on now."
Yeah. If Kamala had won, they would go to prison.
Pretty safely. I guess it'd go to trial, and whatnot. But and the more I watched, it kind of pissed me off because even there were a bunch of politicians involved. Harriet Hagman, Mike Rounds, who's senator from South Dakota, but he had actually written a letter like a year ago when it was all happening to Vilsack, who was the Secretary of Ag at that time. Was like, hey, take care of this. This is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I'm like.
And even Vilsack didn't do nothing.
He's worthless as tits on a boar hog, apparently. Which he was the Secretary of Ag under Obama and then again under Biden.
Yep.
Which just further proving that that was just Obama's third term.
Yes. Yeah.
Biden didn't get too creative with that cabinet nomination. Just like, oh yeah, just bring the Obama guys back in here.
But damn.
But like, it should have been taken care of. And like, I think there have been some people with the Forest Service resign, but I mean, there needs to be a deep investigation. I mean, heads upon heads upon heads need to roll.
Yeah.
Because so many people that could have been like, whoa,
this is
bullshit. Like, like that one officer, I believe his name is Travis Lunders. Like, he definitely needs to be, dealt with and never allowed.
Which one was he?
He was the agent that actually did it all, like got it all rolling. But I mean, he has higher ups that were, aware of what was going on.
Yeah.
But yes, that case, thankfully, has been closed. Now, I don't know. I almost think they deserve some
compensation or something. Yeah.
Which their lawyer that was officially representing them at that time was doing it pro bono, but I don't know. I would imagine they may have, incurred some other legal fees before he may have necessarily got involved. And then hell, just like,
what did they put
for having to live with that hanging over your head for the last?
Yeah, am I about to be away from my kids for 10 years?
Yeah, and everything you hear about these people, like incredibly upstanding, young ranching family, both of them,
fine cocaine salesmen. They sell really high quality cocaine.
No, let's not spread that rumor. But both fifth generation, like both of them come from ranching families. They're both fifth generation. Their attorney pointed out, he said, because facts matter in these cases. I believe their family, Charles's family, originally purchased that property in 1910, which was before the U.S. Forest Service even existed.
Oh, well, then how does that work?
Well, didn't purchase the Forest Service land, but yeah,
gotcha.
But the land where they actually are and where
is older than the actual entity that's seeking legal against them.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you. I mean, if anything, even if they were in the wrong and where the fence was, this should have been handled like.
Yeah, why was it so extreme? That's what I don't understand.
Exactly. I think that's everybody's question.
Yeah.
And they couldn't talk about it, and thankfully there was a lot of publications. Heck, we were one of them. We didn't cover it in the detail as some others, but and even that they point out, like, our neighbors were speaking for us because we couldn't speak, and that they were doing that at the risk of facing
repercussion themselves.
Yeah, because
what did they? What the court did the judge like put a, what do they call it, where they can't speak about it on them?
Yeah, that they were not allowed to talk about.
Why? I've never understood that.
I don't know. I guess because it's an ongoing. I really don't know.
But I'd be like, but if I'm the one that's facing charges, why does it matter?
Yeah, like, I have the right to remain silent, but I don't
have to. Yeah, it's a right to, but I don't.
But I also have the right to speak about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
boy, I'd have had a hard time with that one.
But I would just, I mean,
I'd have been like, well, you're already going to take me to jail. What difference does it make?
Well, and obviously it ended up having a happy ending, but I mean, not before they were put through hell.
Yeah, that makes me mad hearing about it. Damn.
Oh, I got, because I had followed the case and it made me mad, but like when you, and then you really got down to it, and of course Biden, he wasn't making any damn decisions.
Oh, no,
Certainly not about
I don't even know anything about it.
A ranch in South Dakota. But when, I mean, Rollins, laid it out, said, no, this is that regime, that, cabinet,
those commies.
whatever, they have made no, secret that, no, they were the attack on private property rights. Like, no, and a lot of those people, the whole communist socialist type movement, they don't want, to be private property ownership. Yeah. Everything should be, government should control everything. But yeah, I don't know. That was the big story. Yeah. Obviously we had a great, guest episode last week, but it was like, oh, that story broke like on Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, we'll have to wait a week to talk about it. But yeah, that was a big one. I don't know. I just.
What were their names? Heather and what?
Charles, Maude.
And
their two kids, and the kids introduced themselves. I don't remember their names, but
yeah.
Yeah, it was a big deal, and it makes me worried too, because obviously this administration's, got another 3.5 years. Then what happens?
Yeah.
Then does all this start happening again? Because again, it's not the first time, and it probably won't be the last. And I hope that, if anybody else out there is, facing a similar type situation, they're able to, follow those channels to get that taken care of. But
well, it's like the things, man, who was it? It was there is a benefit to resistance, I guess, or sometimes resistance actually does pay off. It makes me think about, wasn't it the Bundys that got into like the huge, they had like a straight up shootout with the government.
Yeah, I can't remember if that one was.
He had like cattle on public lands.
One in Nevada, there was one like in Oregon, which out west, there's an enormous amount of public land, whether it's BLM, which is not Black Lives Matter,
yeah.
Bureau of Land Management, or it's state-owned land, or it's U.S. Forest Service, and almost all that, has people have grazing rights on it, and they pay for it. I mean, because we hunt out there a bunch, and a lot of where you hunt, like, a rancher may, have cows on 20,000 acres, but they only own a small part of that, but they own the grazing rights on all the surrounding public lands. I mean, that's just the way it always has been, the way it continues to need to be. I mean, otherwise, what are you going to just let it grow up? And I guess the vegans and the whatnot would say, well, yeah,
that'd be great.
Just turn buffalo out. Just let the buffalo roam. But
yeah, well, it's I can't remember where the Bundys were. I was thinking Nevada.
And I'm
Ted Bundy, the uncle. No.
So but, I think there may have even been.
And one of them, like, they ran for office or something afterwards. But I think.
So Ammon Bundy, and this is just real quick from Wikipedia, they were Nevada.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. Didn't they get into a shootout?
So this is a pretty good description. I might strive to have this in
on
my
your
Wikipedia one day. Ammon Edward Bundy is an American anti-government militant and activist.
I want that on my headstone.
I don't know about militant, but
no, it sounds good. That needs to be on there.
Yeah. Okay, and I was thinking Clive and Bundy, but that's his father.
Okay.
And that one was in Nevada.
Now, didn't they get into a shootout with the FBI or something?
Oh, man. I don't remember the exact. But in 2014, Bundy standoff in Nevada, an armed standoff with federal and state law enforcement over defaulted grazing fees. Cliven was arrested by the FBI, blah, blah, blah.
During the Bundy, what was it called?
I think they just called it the Bundy standoff. Actually, they arrested him at the airport when he was on his way to support the Malheur, I don't know how to say that, standoff. Yeah, apparently they're just very activist-minded, big in the sovereign citizen movement.
Oh, gosh, okay.
But yeah, I don't know.
Well, see, here's what happened. Chat GPT, man, you got to get on. You got to get on there.
Let them summarize it.
Yeah,
a little better than I did.
So no shots were fired by either side during the actual standoff.
It's probably good.
Yeah, the Bureau of Land Management attempted to confiscate Bundy's cattle. Yeah, due to unpaid grazing fees. In response, hundreds of armed protesters and militia groups showed up. For several tense days, federal agents and armed civilians faced off. Doesn't that just make you happy? Like it just gives me like a good feeling.
Yeah, it definitely has some Ruby Ridge kind of vibes.
It does. It says many of whom were openly carrying rifles and wearing body armor. Despite the tension and extreme potential for violence, the confrontation ended without gunfire when federal agents withdrew. Important note. While no one was shot during the 2014 Bunkerville standoff, a separate 2016 armed occupation of the Malheur National Wildlife Refuge in Oregon, led by Ammon, Cliven's son, did result in one fatality. Lavoy Finicum was shot and killed by law enforcement during a traffic stop tied to that occupation.
Okay, that's why I was thinking it was Oregon and Nevada, because I think that was in Oregon.
Yep, it was.
But yeah, which I mean, because they are supposed to pay grazing fees.
Yeah.
I guess if they weren't, I don't know.
You need to do whatever everybody else is going to do it.
They probably in their minds had a reason justified why they didn't need to pay those fees. But I mean, if it's public land, yeah, I don't know. I can kind of see both sides of that.
Yeah, Bobby Lee's he's a narc over here.
Yep.
Yeah, let's see here. I had some stuff. I don't know, and that
but and that reminds me too. They they said there's been increasing tensions between the Forest Service and ranchers. Like, you know, instead of the Forest Service like working with them and it's always been a very, you know, contentious relationship. I say always. Recently, it's almost like the Forest Service is very adversarial to the ranchers that are paying and have the rights to graze this land, and which they, you know, very closely manage how they're allowed to graze it, like how many days and how many animals they can have. And you hear also stories where they're almost making it to where you can't graze some places at all. Like they're putting so many restrictions on them. And I don't know the truth or the whatnot. It's probably somewhere in the middle as far as, I mean, it should be managed closely. You don't want to overgraze it, and, you know, just like we don't want people plowing the ground to death and whatnot. There's really not a lot of public ground farming, you know, on this side of the country and whatnot, where you're damaging those resources. But at the same time, they just said it's been a real, the relationship there between the Forest Service and ranchers has gone sour, and it didn't need to.
Yeah,
and it just kind of all came to a head with, we say this one case, but again, it's just the one that's getting all the publicity.
Yeah.
You wonder about all the others that may be going on out there.
Well, I was going to say, that's what it makes me think about. How many didn't have the reach and they just got burned.
Well, and probably what helped this family out is they were obviously just being so young. Like, how can they even be at fault here, you know? And two, by all accounts, and I don't know them, never met them, probably never will, very upstanding people in their community. Like these weren't like the renegade ranchers out there that people are like, I figured they'd be doing something like, you know. You know, by all accounts, Yeah, they
were not selling cocaine.
Right.
Yeah, they were legitimate.
They actually sell pork and beef.
There you go. Well, I don't know, man. That feel like that ties in well with the law enforcement opening.
Yeah.
And we gave the good side, you know, had the good run in with the county guys. They came and helped out the farmers and ranchers. Again, the county guys, I can call them, we call them all the time, like if they have issues, and they get a deputy out there, and they've always been solid.
Yeah.
And them city boys, though, let's say
city cops.
Them city cops can get questionable. We probably have some city cop listeners, not hating on all of you.
Well, that's on the wrong end of the county up there.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, one of the guys that helps us, I was telling him about it, and he's an older guy, and he said, because I was telling him, the dude was like, "You been drinking?" And the guy that helps us, he said, "Well, you should have said, hell, man, you don't know nothing about working those 16 hours straight. You'd probably be tired and weaving too."
Government job.
Yeah. So, oh man, but before
he'd probably written you a ticket for, I don't even know what, reckless driving or something.
Something. He'd have got me for something. Well, I was seriously like, man, I'm going to get arrested for drinking and driving, and I ain't even had nothing to drink.
Well, if you took a breathalyzer and passed it, I don't think he can arrest you.
He didn't, and I told him twice. I actually told him 2 times. I said, "Man, I'll take a breathalyzer," and he just kind of like looked at me, and he made a remark again. Like he made 2 remarks about, "Have you been drinking? Are you sure you ain't been drinking?"
But I'm sure at midnight, you know, they pull over a lot of people that have been drinking.
Probably.
Yeah.
And again, it was Cinco de Mayo, you know, so I mean, people have been hammering the Mexican joints, but I was in my service truck too.
Well, that would have been, which, I mean, I guess, some guys, of course, he probably can't look at that truck and say that's a farmer versus that's a construction or
He's
whatever.
like, that's some damn Mexican roofers. Yeah. They've been drinking cervezas all day long. I'm about to get their ass.
Yeah, they knocked off about 2 p.m. and been at the bar ever since.
Yeah. But, he's like, I'm about to get them Mexicanos.
Which that reminds me, when you talking about, hell, was he going to arrest me? I got pulled over one time, it's been a long time ago. Was going 10 over. 80 and a 70.
10 over, you reckless criminal.
Right. And just for context. And like, he takes my license, and it's forever. And he finally comes back to the truck window. He's like, "The best I can do for you is a ticket." And I was like, well, shit, what? I was like, damn, he was considering hauling me in, I guess.
Best I can do for you is a ticket?
like, I would have thought that was kind of the worst.
Yeah.
I mean, it was 10 over.
Yeah, but
in an extremely rural stretch of 4-lane highway.
Was that around here?
No, it was up in O'Brien County. I was coming home from school when I was in college.
Did you get snarky with him?
No, I was just like, I mean, They kind of took me back.
Were
It's
you like,
whoa.
you damn tax collector? What do you want? When he came walking up.
Dude was a real dick because the day I had to go to court, and I don't know if it's always like this, but everybody else there was pretty much, it was almost like it was his day to have all his tickets in court. I don't know. Somebody out there, maybe it's always like that. Like, oh yeah, dude's just a total dick.
So he was there for a bunch of folks.
And he actually was not in court that day because there was something going on at the state capitol, and they had to call in. He was THP. He was Highway Patrol.
Of course he was.
They had to have a bunch of them up there.
Yeah.
Like protecting the governor or something. I don't know.
Well, see, and I'm okay with him doing that. That's a good thing for him to do.
Yeah.
Go do that. But like when we got a THP, they're the ones that really chap my ass. That sit up here in Munford, in city limits. You got a highway patrolman.
I got a seatbelt ticket for them one day.
Yeah, see, I would have gotten in trouble. Big C would have come out in me.
It was in the middle of town, and should I've had my seatbelt on?
And it's a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Exactly. I don't run much anymore, but when I would jog through there, I could literally like pass the traffic.
Yes.
Even at 40 years old, jogging. It's how slow you're going.
Yeah.
And he pulled me over just for a seatbelt.
I think he...
Because I'll admit, I had other violations he could have gotten me for at the time, and he didn't.
I remember you telling me that.
So in a way, I was like, okay, cool. He's just going to give me a seatbelt ticket. It's only like $50 or something.
Yeah, he's won awards. That guy, I can't remember his name. I would say his name if I knew it. But
that's pretty much all he does is write seatbelt tickets.
He is a seatbelt Nazi bastard. He wrote a neighbor down the road from my old house, 80-something-year-old dude. He wrote him a seatbelt ticket. He's like putting along in his truck. Hell, he probably don't get over 20 miles an hour regardless.
And I wear my seatbelt. Now, I'm a practical seatbelt wearer, and I know you should just put it on every time. Look, I don't need anybody to lecture me. But when I'm like in town, like I was leaving the vet clinic and I was going to the store, like literally, like you can't get over.
30 is the maximum.
30 is the maximum speed limit. Most of the time, traffic's so bad you can't get over 20 anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just practical. Like, hell, I ain't going to die in a 20-mile-an-hour crash.
If you get ejected...
If I do die in a 20-mile-an-hour crash, it was my time.
I was going to say, if you get ejected through the windshield at 20 miles an hour, then that's the most insane 20 miles an hour I've ever seen.
When I'm out on the highway or on the interstate, whatever, hell yeah, I've got that thing on every time.
Yeah.
I want to set a good example for my kids.
Yeah.
But sometimes I'm just practical. I'm not worried about wearing my seatbelt when it's 20.
Well, that's what, man, that used to make me mad. See, my service truck...
But I always, like, what about motorcycle? Like,
see, that's what I said. Yeah, like,
oh yeah, right. I mean, why do they get by without having to wear a seatbelt?
Well, and I think, see, in my service truck, I've got like limo tint on the windows, and
I know because every time I pass you, including today, I'm like, I don't know if that's Logan or Derek or who driving.
Yeah, I've even got the windshield tint.
I just always wave no matter what.
Yeah, that's what I should have told the cop. I'm like, man, I can't see where the lines are because I've got my windshield tinted so dark,
Yeah.
which is super illegal. But the windshield is tinted, and
did you make sure you rolled them both down before you walked up there?
no, I just rolled the one down, and and the interior lights don't work in that truck either. So it was like pitch black, which I was glad because I had two guns right here. So I'm like,
Oh yeah.
But
Was that the first thing you told him? Like, hey, I am armed.
no, I didn't say nothing.
I always tell him, I'm like, hey, just let you know.
I was like, when he came walking up, I'm like, I've got a gun, is what I said when he came walking up. No, I have done this going through Munford. When I'm in my service truck, you can't see in there. And when that state trooper would be there, I would unbuckle my seatbelt. I would literally take it off because it would just make me so mad. And he just didn't, I mean, he can't see me. And so I would drive, and I might even get past him and then put it back on.
Yeah.
But I would just do it because it would make me mad. And, you know, and I may have shared this story before, but we got a guy out here that he's a good dude. He never wears a seatbelt. He ain't going to wear a seatbelt. And he's gotten like probably 6 or 7 seatbelt tickets in his life. And he got pulled over. The cop came up to him. He didn't put his seatbelt on. And the cop was like, ain't you going to at least put your seatbelt on when I'm coming up here? And he was like, no, I'm not going to. And the cop was like, I'm going to write you a ticket. And he said, write me a ticket. So he wrote him a ticket and came back. And he said, you might as well go down the road a little ways and wait on me. And he was like, why? And he said, because I'm not putting a seatbelt on. He said, I am not going to wear it. He said, nobody is going to tell me to wear a seatbelt. So,
well, and when you think about it, like yeah, part of you's like, that's just simple. Just put the damn seatbelt on. But it's like, why? Like, why do I?
Yep. And I mean, look, and we've
Like,
had.
I can smoke cigarettes if I want to. I know that's bad for my health.
Yep.
I mean, I can ride a motorcycle. I know that's a hell of a lot more dangerous than riding in a truck without a seatbelt on.
It is. And
I am allowed to do. I can go mountain climbing if I want to.
yeah.
Like, what does it matter to anybody else?
You can swim with the sharks, you know. Yeah. But that's where, and look, we've had this. We've kind of talked about this on here before.
I knew. This was just going to turn into an anti-government rant.
Well, like I said, even the beginning, this was like meant to be.
Wasn't
but
totally anti-government. We
no, like I said, we did applaud our. Well, like I said, Tipton County Sheriffs, man, they're great. I really like them.
Well, a lot of our local city guys right here
are
around
good.
town. I know them well.
Oh yeah, yeah. We got one up here. He's great. When I shared the story about getting pulled over for the safety chains, which that was stupid as hell. But the city cop that I talked to, I don't want to get him in trouble, but I did talk to a city cop about it, and he was like, "Yeah, it's ridiculous." Like he's like, "We don't pull over farmers." He's like, "We don't mess with farmers." So, yeah, it's not all city cops, and it's always it's a few bad apples in the bunch that they'll spoil it all. But so,
I think a lot of times just coming out to common sense. Just use some common sense, like.
Yep. Yeah, and
to protect and serve, and that goes back to the whole Forest Service. Go back to our cousin, uncle, whatever he would be, our relative, old President Lincoln.
Yep.
The Gettysburg Address, a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. The government is supposed to be all of those things.
Yeah.
Instead, we got the Forest Service trying to lock up law-abiding ranchers.
Yeah.
You got, cops. How is stopping me and making me put my seatbelt on serving any public good?
That's what I've always wondered.
Okay, you're protecting me from myself. Okay, well, no.
I know, as you put in a nicotine pouch.
Yeah,
where are the cops? They ought to come kick the door in now.
Yeah.
How many milligrams is that one?
I'm down to the 3.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, man. It just, I don't know. Actually protect and serve. Like I said, highway patrol. Hey,
like do something for the greater good.
Yeah, go out there, bust drug runners on the highways. Well,
I'm cool with stopping people for traffic violations. Somebody's driving like an asshole.
Yeah.
Which and that always pisses me off when somebody is driving like an asshole.
There's never a cop.
Where are they now? Like
they're busy writing some old bastard a seatbelt ticket.
Yeah, like
some guys doing 50 in a school zone.
I always worry that some law enforcement friends are listening. I know y'all can't be everywhere at once, but it's always like, good Lord, you pull me over for expired tags. I was really endangering everybody with that. But yet, I get passed on a double yellow on Gilt Edge Road.
All the time.
I mean, it seems like daily.
Yeah. That's how, man, yeah, that one. Yeah.
And I'm not talking about I'm on a tractor doing 20. Like, I'm in my Jeep doing 50, and people are still flying around me.
Yeah. No, to the good cops, we salute you. I'm not a defund the police type guy. Like, I want a well-trained police force, and I want them to be able to do their job. There's certain job
I might be
things.
defund the U.S. Forest Service.
I was going to say that one, yeah, that's pretty ridiculous.
I would guarantee it's one of those groups that, and actually, they probably did get a bunch of cuts with Doge. Like, yeah, I imagine they have probably 3 times as many people working for them as they really need. Some of the officers out in the field, not including Travis Lunders, probably doing a pretty good job, but I would guarantee you they've got a lot of folks sitting in an office somewhere that they could totally do without.
Yeah, speaking of Doge, recent USDA policy mandates that the Doge is going to review certain farm loans over $500,000. It says this has prompted 16 U.S. senators to seek clarification, fearing potential delays and privacy issues for farmers. So Doge is kind of stepping into the USDA sector now. And it's got some people freaking out. And like Brooke Rollins, she was talking about it, and she was talking about how great it is because, man, it was some of the stupidest stuff, like typical of our government. There was like studies of food in Gonda, and there was some transgender stuff in the mix there. And she was talking about
there was a bunch of that stuff within the USDA before
only, what did she say today?
the new administration, came in and started cleaning house.
Now, we've talked about before how the farm bill and the money, the supplemental money for farmers, it actually 70-something% of that is to like SNAP, the food stamps.
Yeah, basically food stamps.
Yeah, the nutrition thing.
Called when I was growing up. Yeah.
Yep. Which I'm all for they're trying to change that to where they can only buy certain foods. They have to be nutritional.
I've said all along, I think it's simple. And different grocery stores, but pretty much they can't go down the aisles.
Yeah, got to go around the edge. Yeah.
You got to stay on the outside.
Milk, meat, potatoes.
Yeah, dairy, potatoes, fresh produce. Stay off the Twinkie aisle.
Yep.
Stay off the cereal aisle. I know a lot of people. Like when we were growing up, like cereal was made out to be healthy.
Yeah, it was in the pyramid.
Somebody who has to watch their sugar, there ain't a damn box of cereal you can buy at any grocery store
that's any good.
That's healthy. I mean, even the shit that's portrayed as being healthy, like you get to read the label, you're like, God dang, like
yeah.
I order some weird stuff that's like super, sugar free and low carb, but yeah, you don't even need to go down the aisles. Maybe buy some canned goods, but other than that aisle,
for a potential apocalyptic scenario, get you some canned goods. I keep a stockpile of cans of chili and stuff in case we have like an apocalyptic scenario.
Canned vegetables.
Canned vegetables for sure.
I've gotten to where we buy almost all my vegetables are just out of the produce section. Try to cook them within a day or two, but we're also blessed with a small local grocery store where I can run in there 3 or 4 times a week. And
I was gonna say 5 minutes from the house. Yep.
Yeah. The little blue farm store will be open, selling some fresh produce for too long.
It will, man.
How are y'all coming along on all that?
Good. We've got 100 and something heads of cabbage. I got 50-something pepper plants, 50-something tomato plants, peaches. I got peaches on my little bitty peach trees. Yeah. I've been spraying them because you got to spray peach trees are finicky, but I got little peaches. They're about the size of a golf ball now. I had to go out. It made me sad. I had to pluck some off because I had one tree. It had 18 on it, and they're supposed to be, especially since these are tiny. Like they're only 2-year-old trees, but you're only supposed to have a peach like every 6 to 8 inches, or it'll overcrowd, and then none of them will be any good. So I had to pluck off some peaches on some of them, and but yeah. Man, it looks good. Everything looks good. I still got to finish that coop. I've been building that A-frame. Some people apparently thought I was building a solar farm.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, Mr. Robert.
I can see that because it's kind of an angled, on the A-frame.
Yeah. Mr. Robert called me the other morning. He said, hey, somebody asking me if you were what you're building over there. And I said, where? And he said, your store. He said, they said you were building a solar farm. I said, a solar farm? And he said, yeah. I told him, I said, I don't think so, but I'll call and ask him. And I said, that's a chicken coop. I said, it's got 10 on the side of it. And he said, well, that makes sense.
They thought it was solar panels.
Yeah. I'm like, no, the last thing I'm going to be putting over there is a solar farm. So,
yeah.
But,
well, if you were going to put up some solar panels, they'd just be on the roof.
Yeah. I was going to say, I ain't going to cover it up. All right. You want to cue up our man?
The man, who thankfully is not
in there
to persecute folks like the Maude family.
Yep.
Yeah, we need to get him on the board. Have we ever mentioned that before?
We have.
Made in America. Let me start off with 2 words. Made in America.
He's really repeating himself today.
Well, that's what happens when you get dementia.
It is. All right. Well, you speaking of you, I was trying to think of what I would want to do. You gave me a good idea from a healthy standpoint.
Okay.
Protein bars.
Protein bars.
Have you ever heard of David protein bars?
I've seen them. They hit my algorithm on social media.
They are very good.
Really?
Yes. Now it has 13 carbs.
So.
But it's only 150 calories. And 0 grams of sugar.
No sugar. It's got 2 grams of fiber, and so that, I think just talk about how that offsets the carbs, but yeah.
Yeah, you got 28 grams of protein. Dude, they're good. Like, they're really good. I ordered, that one's chocolate chip cookie dough. It's really good. Cake batter is good. Like, we ordered a whole box of them. They're made in the USA. I don't know, I'm not sure exactly where, but they are made in the USA, and they are really good. And one of the ways somebody described, one of the ways to tell if protein bars are good for you from a calorie type standpoint is however many grams of protein it is. If you add a 0 to the end of that, as long as it's under that, you're typically doing all right.
Hold on, if you had a 0 to the end of the
So, like, if it was 28 grams of protein, if it was under 280 calories, then it's a decent
calories. Okay, yeah.
And it may be, I can't remember how they describe it, but these are only 150 calories, so they're well under that range.
Nearly twice, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, dude, they're legitimately good. Like, I've tried a lot of different protein bars, and some of them are real dry. Like, you eat it and you almost got to, like, take a drink of water to wash it down.
Yeah.
Not these, man. They're solid. And it's literally just called David. You just Google David, or davidprotein.com is their website. But they're freaking good. They got all kinds of, there's a cinnamon roll. I haven't tried that one yet. But, yeah, 28 grams of protein, 150 calories. And Marcy and I both, and actually my kids, I even let them try one of them. Like, everyone put the stamp of approval on there.
Even kid approved?
Even kid approved. Which would be, if you want to get your kids, like, jacked, then you just start sending them a protein bar for their snack.
Yeah. Wonder if do they have, like, a variety pack?
Yes, that's what we got.
I see that there, yeah.
I was going to say, I ordered it on their website.
Yeah. They
had a variety pack. So, because it had, like, 6 different flavors or something in it. So, guys, I do encourage you, check out David Protein. And I do want to tell you, I do want to read some stuff real quick. We got some good comments on Spotify. Let me see. Let me pull this up.
No, those are always fun.
They are. Yeah, I'm into. So the last one.
If you have your comments, say something funny. Like, give us 5 stars and then insult us.
Yes. Yeah, I like that. The last one, this one tripped me out. The dude commented yesterday on the episode with. Our recent one with Patrick, he was in Weston, Missouri, and it opens with him being like, hope nobody from Weston's listening, because he was talking about the principal, like, kind of hitting on him. And this guy commented and said, and he quoted him, I'm hoping nobody in the Weston area is listening in on this. And then he said, I'm also from Weston, Missouri, and laughed out loud at the beginning. So I said, haha, small world. And that was Garrett. And then Eric wrote, great show as always, guys. Give you the heart react. But we got a couple here. Some good ones. I need to I've been meaning to read these for a while. Did I read the hazelnut growers thing response here? He said, as a hazelnut grower in Western Oregon, I love hearing the perspective from the other side of the country.
We asked him to write back about making like $1 million an acre or something.
Yeah, that's right. There was one guy. Okay, well, let's see. I haven't read these. This guy said you need to try some lamb ribs and chops over a fire. Grew up with it in South Africa. It's delicious, but then added if you get lamb from the Northern Cape, it's even better because of the type of natural plants that they eat there.
Okay.
That comes from Jesse K.
So lamb ribs roasted over an open fire.
Yeah, it says Bray/BBQ. So barbecue or BRAAI. That must be kind of what they call a barbecue.
Okay. I'd be willing to try it. I'll try just about any meat.
I would too. I mean, yeah. Nick writes in, I sell custom lamb, same way Bobby Lee does cattle. It's much cheaper and more attainable for most people nowadays. I also do custom beef when I'm able to. Cattle and sheep do very well together for grazing and weed management. Yeah. I can almost double my profit doing custom lamb/mutton versus selling to meat market buyers. Reference being $150 to $200 to buyers, $350 to $400 custom. Said Northeast Georgia if y'all are out this way. So appreciate that. Man, there was one that was funny the other day. I got to try to find it. Oh man, one dude did write this a while back, and I don't know that this is. Do you pull up your Google or I may need to ask ChatGPT. This guy wrote in, we had a guest that did, or not a guest, I guess we covered it, Tartar USA. They said Tartar USA is no longer Tartar USA. It's Tartar Logistics. They were bought out a while back by a Chinese company, but yes, everything still is made in Liberty, Kentucky, to my knowledge. I've still seen it as Tartar USA.
The website, I just pulled it up. It's tartarusa.com. So now we got the dilemma of there's made in the USA, it's supporting U.S. manufacturing, U.S. jobs.
But owned by China. At that point, guys, we're just getting too deep into the weeds.
Yeah,
as long as it's made here, I'm just like...
Well, because we got a lot of other companies. I guess like Nike, for example, they're U.S. owned, but they don't make a damn thing in the U.S.
Yeah.
I certainly don't like that.
Yeah.
They outsource all their, manufacturing overseas. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess, we got to be more on the side of, well, at least we're supporting U.S. manufacturing. And
yeah,
if the shit ever really hit the fan, like, all right, the Chinaman over across the Pacific that owns it,
they can go pound sand.
Yeah.
Here it is. This was on Apple. Logan's middle school humor is funny to me, but what is more funny is Bobby Lee wanting to feed into it, but trying his hardest to stay professional because of the vet's office.
That pretty well sums us up. Yes, I'm sitting here talking most weeks. I'm like, all right, I might have a client out there that's going to be in my office tomorrow. It's going to be listening to this.
Yeah, I don't have that.
Or somebody I go to church with. Or
yeah. Now I have some that I go to church with, and I'll see them, and it's funny that, and some of them are women, and they'll be like, "That I love the show. It is so funny."
Yeah,
so,
we keep it light.
Yeah. And that's for this most recent one. Serious talks with a funny vibe. Really enjoy the podcast and what others have to say or ask when you get into emails and comments. And we're up to 291 on Apple. Hey, there is an email. I know I'm going to finish this up right here, but I'm going to drop this now because it's such a contested topic. But let me read this email real quick, and then we'll discuss it real quick. Where is it? Is it this one? No, that's not it. That one comes from got to have a translator for that one. Here it is. Jacob wrote, email. Love listening to the show. Keep up the good work. Also, keep talking about Farmer Wants a Wife show. Love hearing y'all talk about it.
I hadn't watched any more episodes, and
I'm up to date.
I'm trying to think. The crazy girl with John in Missouri is gone.
Yeah, the big-eyed girl, Samantha.
Yeah. Oh, they all had the chance to bring a new girl back.
Yeah.
I watched it through that much. And
did you watch where they did bring them back or didn't?
Yeah, but I'm trying to remember who all brought one back.
John and Jay.
John and Jay did, but the other two didn't.
And they scored some major brownie points.
Yeah, it kind of surprised me that only half of them brought the new one back.
I know. I think in the first season or the second season there, didn't every one of them bring the chick back?
I remember Brandon did, definitely, because he almost...
And so did, Emerson.
Yeah.
And so did Ty. Ty brought a girl back.
Ty definitely brought his back.
I can't remember on the other ones.
I'm trying to... Yeah.
I know we know them well because we've actually know them now.
Yeah, but we've had them both on the podcast.
Yeah, the other two,
Brandon multiple times and Ty in studios.
Yep. Yes. I can't remember on the other ones, but yeah, it's getting pretty interesting now because some of the chicks are really wanting to know what's going on, and the guy, what's his name, Colton?
Colton? In Arkansas.
Yeah.
Colton, I think that's right.
Colton, he's funny, man. He trips me out. He's kissed like every chick on there.
Oh yeah, he seems like he's really into all of them.
He does. I think he'd be fine with any of them.
Yeah.
And John, he now that he's done kind of got Samantha out of the way, now he's actually kind of getting his Mac on with the ladies. So Jay, I can't read him. He had one chick that was a bitch. Did you watch it to where she left? The one chick that went up to him was like, she didn't do anything. She even would make a remark, "I'm not shoveling no cow shit."
The one from Malibu.
She's got to be.
Yeah. Like you knew from the beginning, you're like, all right, she's gone. Like,
yeah.
She didn't want to do anything, and he was like, you're not going to move to Alabama from Malibu, California. Like she's even a model.
Yeah.
And he's like, No, like this.
Well, and she was like, well, I hated it here. Like, she was like, this place sucks. Like, I mean, when she was leaving, she was a huge bitch. Did you see that?
I saw when she left. I don't know that I remembered all that.
Yeah, I mean, she was a bitch if I've ever seen
I've had
her.
a hard time getting into it.
Well, it's been slower, but Marcy now is like, we need to watch. So she's kind of gotten into it. So now I've been watching. And I like John and, like I said, Colton. The other two guys I can't really read. Jay he's kind of boring. And so is Matt. Matt's a nice guy, but he's kind of boring.
Right, like both of them, I'm like, they don't really seem into any of them.
No, they don't. No, they're both kind of like, yeah, whatever, man. And again, Matt and Jay might both be awesome. I mean, if they wanted to come on and talk to them.
It's such an awkward, weird way of dating someone.
Could you imagine?
I don't think anybody would say this is at all
ideal.
Natural. Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. I still hadn't watched the season finale of 1923.
I haven't. I quit watching. My wife was like, "I'm not watching it anymore." So
really,
yeah. So
it's killing me that I hadn't seen it. But that's one my wife and I watched together. I'm embarrassed to say that I watched Farmer Wants a Wife without her.
Yeah,
just because we're never in the house with ball season and everything. Like because usually we sit down and watch TV for a little while after the kids are in bed. Well, now we get home so late every night. It's like, I'm not going to stay up for an hour.
No, well,
because I was going to say I would watch that or try to catch up on Farmer Wants a Wife tonight, but since we're recording in the afternoon, but oh hell, we got to watch 1923.
Yeah, you got to watch that. Well, before we wrap, Bobby Lee and I have been modeling today.
Yeah, I guess that's why we are almost twins here.
We're decked out in our ag gear outfits, and you got the hats. I just realized.
I'm normally wearing my Ag Zaga hat, but I've been running around like a chicken with my head cut off. And I was out and about when I swung by here to record, and I was like, oh yeah, I don't have my Ag Zaga hat. Yeah,
you might get to see us in some ag gear videos. That's another cool company. You check them out, aggearstore.com.
Yep.
But while you're doing that, you also need to leave us those ratings and reviews. Like I said, be checking, listening. Hopefully next week I'll have the giveaway stuff. Yeah, that'll give Ag Zaga time to get done with theirs. Then we'll drop ours next week, hopefully start it. So be listening, but keep leaving us those ratings and reviews. I love seeing them steadily tick up. And comment on this video. Let us know what you thought of it. Hit the like button and share this with your friends. Share the episode out with your friends. And
yeah, go to agzaga.com, even though I'm not wearing the hat today.
Nope.
I've got a couple of their hats at home. I think you can actually buy those on the website as well, and you get 10% off when you use that discount code. But of course, they're in business selling much more important things than just ball caps.
Yes.
But yeah, check out the website. Use the discount code TalkDirt, all caps, all one word, 10% off.
Yep. All right, guys. We will catch you next week.